Did the stream just start?
Hey. Hold up. If you turn around, you gon' face a lead. Shooting from above, go to sleep, you dead, What? 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 Bring it back now. What? 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 Bring it back now. I got the moves. If you turn around, you gon' face a lead. Shooting from above, go to sleep, you dead, If you turn around, you gon' face a lead. Shooting from above, go to sleep, you dead, What? What?
How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Conti and Nick. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The first time they go offense, they take Jordan Love? They take Jordan Love!
Listen, Matisse Bible will lock up CP3,
Oh my
Chris Paul.
god.
Chris Paul, baby. Right, Will?
Nope, I totally disagree. Look. Welcome back. I almost didn't unmute the mic there. Welcome back, everyone, to Conti and Nick. We are on episode number 68. It is a beautiful August summer, and we're here to talk about some sports with you, as always. I'm Will Nicholson. Alongside me, also as always, we got Gino Conti. Gino, I hope you're enjoying the warm weather while we still got it, man, because right around the corner, that fall is coming.
Yes, thank you. I am enjoying it very much. So, but I will say I have a lot of things that are exciting that are coming up on kind of the horizon. We have my fantasy football draft on August 29th.
Yes, we
It'll
do.
be the annual Conti League. We're going to have that. Actually, right now, SummerSlam is going on, which I just did a show of Ginormous on for a preview. So that's going on right now. I'll rewatch that and see if a lot of my predictions came true. And in October, in the fall, I'm going to be going to Michigan, and I will be going to a Michigan versus Wisconsin football game.
There you
It's
go.
me and my buddy Cam's favorite teams, and we decided to make the commute up.
That's awesome. I hope you guys have a ball doing that. Yeah, it's about to get crazy. I have, as always, the Marshfield High School football season coming up. I've been doing it for the past, God, I think this is year 3 for me now, which is kind of crazy doing that. So I'm kind of getting locked in to that whole thing. My brother's gonna be a junior, so I'm starting to, get a little more invested than maybe I already was. But a lot of crazy
How
things
can
are
you not be?
happening.
How can you not be?
Exactly. It's crazy. He starts camp in
Shout out to
a
Aiden
little
Nick.
bit. Shout out to Aiden Nick. You know what's funny? I was talking to him a couple of days ago about this, and he was saying like he's so he's excited for the football season to start. He's excited for it to be back, but like the dread of training camp is starting to just like loom over his head. Where he's like, I have practice every day soon, but it's all worth it in the end.
I think breathing down his neck, he hears the bark, bark, man, because those are the dog days.
Oh
Let me
yeah,
tell you that. Those are the dog days.
no, 100%.
And look, I will say this with the benefit of not being a lineman, but I will say that training camps were very difficult for me. I can only imagine how it is for linemen
Yeah,
who are obviously like of a much bigger, like very respectfully, of course, like of a much bigger stature.
you got
You know
more
what I
weight to
mean?
carry around. Yeah,
Aren't
yeah.
known for having the same stamina of defensive backs and maybe other skill positions. So
Yeah, those two
respectfully,
days.
man.
Those 2 days hit, man.
Yeah.
They hit hard. But no, it's
Yeah.
great. You know, football's back around the corner. My favorite time of year is actually the fall, so I'm getting pretty excited for it. But while we are still in some of these summer months here, we still got baseball. We're gonna jump into some Red Sox a little bit. They obviously, well, I guess maybe not obviously if you're watching this on Spotify, but for me and Gino, it is August 2nd, and they did just beat the Houston Astros, and I believe that was the last game of the series. And they took it home 7-3. Chapman went and closed it out. Another great day for the bats for the Red Sox, but the trade line did pass. And Gino, Red Sox fans a little upset they didn't make a move at the deadline. And I believe you were as well. Were kind of questioning they didn't make the move. So what is your reaction to the Red Sox trade deadline?
Well, yeah, I made a post about this on our Conti Nich fan page, and it really did just have to do with it was just screenshots off of the Red Sox Instagram page, so it really wasn't anything that took me more than 15 seconds to do, in terms of a production standpoint. But pretty much what I put on there was I don't want to speak for a lot of Red Sox fans, but I believe that a lot of Red Sox fans will agree with me. I'm sick of being patronized. You know what I mean? And I'm sick and tired of the Red Sox front office organization. I know most of it being John Henry. I'm sick of them not kind of extending themselves to make a big move that will drastically improve this team and improve this roster. They try to make themselves be kind of like a small market team, and that's just not what we are. Like, I understand you want to build and get a lot of prospects and build through the draft. Look, I am a supporter of that play style. I'm a supporter of that because I think it's the most sustainable thing to do. But when you have the money, that also means you can spend the money. And Dustin May and Steven Matz, that's not spending the money. Pretty much what they did was pocket the money that they got from that Rafael Devers trade and do nothing about it to spend it and extend themselves and improve their roster drastically. They really should have gotten Joe Ryan.
Yeah, I mean that was the big conversation with the Rafael Devers trade is why would you send him to the Giants for that price? Well, they're taking his contract, right? That was the big thing. You're not going to have dead money, so now you have all this available cap to maybe go out and get someone. And I think the big thing the Sox were looking for is maybe getting another starting pitcher. I know there were rumors about a couple of guys, but as you said, you have all this money now. It's not dead cap. You can go and spend it. And again, I mean the small market Red Sox, as a couple of people who I talked to are joking. This team and this management just operates like they're not one of the most, if not the most historic ball clubs in Major League Baseball, and they don't spend the money like it. So if I'm a Red Sox fan, I'm 100%. I'm disappointed. They should have made some moves. They should have gotten some more starting pitching. I mean, you saw today if you watched the game, like the infield was good, and they got Walker Bueller out of a lot of trouble in today's game. He started off, he still let in 3 runs, but if it weren't for a couple double plays, the Sox are in real trouble. So, Gino, I don't know about you, but the pitching's still a huge concern for me.
Absolutely. And I wouldn't say Lucas Giolito is like a huge concern, and Brian Bayo has been pitching better as of late, but those guys have shown that they are capable of reaching the same exact lows as they do highs, if that makes sense. Just as high as they've been able to take the team and their performances whenever they're on the mound, they've just been able to show that they can go just as low. And you're right, that is what is concerning, which is why so many people were calling for the Red Sox to get that number 2 starter. And look, they may have had to give up Jaron Duran, which isn't ideal because right now Marcelo Meyer is hurt. But I think in the long term, getting a number 2, a solidified number 2 pitcher behind Garrett Crochet would have been something that benefited this team so greatly. And I think that you kind of could afford the loss because Roman Anthony has stepped up so much. And then you have, I mean, like I said, you have Rob Refsnyder, who, I mean, obviously is just at this point in his career a depth piece, but you have good depth in the outfield, and you could always just make another trade for a solid veteran depth outfielder. I mean, like, Jaron Duran is a good player when he's hot, shown that he's able to be All-Star Game MVP caliber good. And on Ginormous, I've said that I would hesitate to trade him. But if you need a starting pitcher, because that's what the concern is, and Craig Breslow, as a former pitcher, has put a lot of emphasis on that, then yeah, I would pull the trigger. I would do it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think that it was really discouraging to see they didn't go out and get more starting pitching because and it's been obvious. I mean, Fitz got I think sent down, right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
too
so
small.
Fitz got sent down, and you got a ton of pieces who just haven't worked out. I will say our relievers pretty good. I think Wilson and Murphy and Weisert. I think they get a good job done in those middle innings. The seventh, and before you can bring in guys like Chapman to potentially close it out, and sometimes Weisert will go the distance. But it's just that starting level pitching. Those first 5 innings are the most dangerous innings for the Red Sox because you don't know who you're gonna get. Are you gonna get a Crochet where he just goes crazy? Are you gonna get a different form of someone like Bueller where he'll look good on the mound, or are you gonna get someone with the Fitz who gives up all these runs and looks terrible? Even closing out, Hicks hasn't looked good either. So the pitching so spotty for the Sox, and it's a little disappointing. But as Dom did point out in the chat, shout out Dom House. Matt's had a nice day today, or a nice outing, so that's something. Hopefully, going forward, we just need more guys to put in, the bullpen that can go and get you a couple of innings.
Right. And let me bring up another thing that at the end of the day might be irrelevant because prospects at the end of the day are just prospects. But a big thing and a big piece that we got in return in that Rafael Devers trade was an outfielder by the name of James Tibbs III. Okay, and he's an outfielder. Like I said like earlier, we have plenty of outfield depth as of right now, but that's somebody who we were hoping to develop, and maybe he becomes some sort of part of our future, especially if we trade Jaron Duran. Maybe he's somebody who we can slide in. We just traded him for Dustin May. So already part of that trade is now irrelevant because now James Tibbs is on the Los Angeles Dodgers, and you got Dustin May, somebody who has a high 4 ERA. And I'm so sick of these people who are just these reclamation projects or these former top prospects who Breslow's going to bring in and work in the lab, and then they're all of a sudden going to become nasty. Newsflash, the only reason why we have an ace is because we traded for an ace and because we couldn't develop Hauk and Bayo into becoming those aces. Now, not everyone's Garrett Crochet, but clearly our development wasn't good enough to the point where we needed to trade for an ace.
100%. I think Hawk just got Tommy John surgery again, right? Too. So he's probably, and I reference our sports group chat a lot because that's where a lot of these debates spark up. But I saw someone putting there, probably never gonna be the same, never gonna be that prospect that you want to pan out. So you go and you get someone like Crochet, and boom, you have your ace. Okay, we need more bats for Devers leaving or getting traded away. Okay, boom, you get Meyer and Anthony, you call them up, that stuff works out. But it's the lack of making a trade for the Sox that is alarming to me because it is so obvious in the clubhouse and in the bullpen that the pitching is not up to par. And now you're in a spot where the trade deadline's passed, and it's like, okay, well, are we gonna have 3 pitchers close past the 8th? Like, that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna rotate guys in and out because you can't have Chapman go like 2 or 3 innings every night. It's not gonna work. But then, all right, you're gonna have Hicks almost, throw away another game and bring in someone else. And okay, now we'll get Chapman to pitch like 9 pitches and close out the game. It's winning, it's working right now, but I don't think in the long run, especially in the playoffs, I don't see that being consistent and working.
Neither do I. And I'm glad that you brought that up, Will, because yes, right now we just took 2 from the Houston Astros. We just won the series against them. So as of right now, yes, it's looking like okay, everything is sunshine and rainbows. But this team right now, especially this year, has been so up and down that okay, we take 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, but we could easily get swept. I know we're not facing the Rockies, but we could easily get swept by the Colorado Rockies in the next series. Like that's how inconsistent of a team we've been, and it's because we're so young. So since we're winning, now that gives the front office kind of like the excuse to kick their feet up, be arrogant, and be like, see, we didn't need to make these moves. We're fine. But in reality, if you had Joe Ryan, who is the perfect quintessential number 2, he's literally, and I'm not using this as an example, but like he's like Scottie Pippen, like the perfect number 2. You know what I mean? He is that perfect complement, and he wants to come to the Red Sox. And you didn't even make a true effort to pull off that trade. And even if it's you overpay a little bit, you have the prospects, you have the assets to do it. You didn't extend yourself, and that is what's frustrating. And then we're going to sit here and be patronized by the front office by being told Kyle Harrison, who was a big time prospect who didn't work out in San Francisco. He was a part of that Rafael Devers trade. He's going to work in the lab and he's going to be a part of our long time plans. And then Dustin May on an expiring contract. He's going to work in the lab. He's going to be in the lab. We're going to make him nasty, man. It's going to be great. Like, I know. No, like, do you know how stupid that sounds? Do you know how stupid that sounds?
It does. I mean, it's just the Red Sox like, oh, we have the best farm in the league, dude. Like we're gonna just keep building guys up because we have the number one prospect. Shockingly, is doing good in the majors, and it's like, oh, our farm's the best. No, if you're a Red Sox fan, you should be upset with management because after the trade deadline, they go on, they do a press conference, and management talks about they were uncomfortably aggressive trying to get a guy. That is the direct quote that they said. They were uncomfortably aggressive. This isn't a drunk guy at a frat party. This is baseball. Uncomfortably aggressive? What are we talking about? What does that even mean when you're going for a trade? That was insane to me. And I took a peek real quick at the Red Sox pitching tonight. 7 players pitched tonight for the Red Sox. That is not sustainable. You can't have 7 guys go like that.
It's the furthest thing from sustainable. And honestly, right now, me and Craig Breslow, I never thought I'd say this, God shoot me dead, are relatable on something because I'm uncomfortably aggressive about how angry I am about what the Red Sox have done or lack thereof in this trade deadline.
I can't get over that. That was a real thing that Breslow went up and said to Red Sox faithful. It's like, hey, we were uncomfortably aggressive in trying to trade for people. Those words don't make sense, Gino. That's crazy. I don't know, but it's
because he doesn't make sense. He's a robot, right? And when he was hired, they put him in the lab that they've been talking about, and they put a microchip into the back of him, and then John Henry just goes uncomfortably aggressive, and then it
and
just
then he
goes
goes,
out
yep.
to the old Red Sox faithful out of Craig Breslow's mouth. That's exactly what it is.
Like, how
Like
can we get this done with saving as much money as possible? It's insane.
Will, are we a podcast of swearing?
Yeah, I'd say so.
All I'm gonna say is thanks, Brez. You fucking stiff.
It's true. He is. He is. He is a fucking stiff, Conti. It's for real. Like this, we are the Boston Red Sox. Fenway is sold out every single game, especially now because they're entertaining. And we don't have the money after giving up no dead money to Rafael Devers to go get a starting level pitcher not named Garrett Crochet. Fed up. I'm fed up with it. And you know what? For now, it's all right. It's going to be good. They're going to be a playoff team. But come next, this next upcoming offseason for the Red Sox, pitching needs to be priority number 1. Anthony's going to improve. Meyer's going to be back. I know he's injured right now. Maybe Campbell is actually in the lab and he actually, learns more of that first base. Narvaez, the rookies, the young guys, they're all going to get better. So you have the opportunity next year, obviously, I don't want to look too far in the future, but next year, if they don't get a pitcher, I am going to freak out on this podcast live. Right now, I'm not happy about it, but we're winning, so it's fine.
Well,
I guess.
you're a little uncomfortably aggressive, and I'm gonna need you to calm down.
You're right. That's what I'm gonna tell people now. You go into work, it's like, boss, I was uncomfortably aggressive trying to get it done. My bad.
my role model, the guy who I've been studying in the lab, trying to be a better role model for, he told me uncomfortably aggressive. That's how you address all your problems in life once you encounter them. But real quickly, as of note, I know we've been making fun of the lab, but Christian Campbell in AAA is actually on a 12-game hitting streak in Worcester.
Conti, my nose is bleeding, so take it over for like a minute for me.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, so Will Nicholson's nose is bleeding. He's going to get that fixed. Welcome to the cameo you live for. It is ginormous. So yeah, Christian Campbell in AAA is on a 12-game winning streak. He's somebody who obviously we had a lot of high hopes for at the beginning of the season. He started off really hot and he was kind of somebody who the Red Sox pushed forward up and through their minor league system and was like, okay, we need a second baseman, we need a right-hander, and he played so well at the beginning of the season that he earned a buyout of his rookie deal and just automatically got a 8-year contract extension. That's how impressed that they were with the start of him. And obviously, we've talked about this before, but with Alex Cora's moves and moving him to the second base, to first base, to outfield, and along with that, not being able to kind of go through and naturally progress with his struggles as a hitter, that's something that really, I believe, hindered him. And now that he's getting a lot of first base time and down in AAA, it looks like he's become a lot more comfortable down there. And look, who's to say he will take over and he will come back this year? I'm not necessarily in any rush whatsoever to propel him back up just to kind of be like, okay, he's back. All right, let's not panic. He's here. He's not a bust because a lot of people obviously were panicking about that when they brought him back down. So we'll see what happens with him. We'll see what happens there. But in the regards with Christian Campbell, I'm really happy and I'm happy to hear that he is doing well for himself there. But yeah, so pretty much my thoughts on the Red Sox in general. Um, sorry, folks. LOL. Sorry. Will, are you going
We're
rogue?
good. We're chilling. Yeah. I was actually
Or
gonna say like, hey guys, I'm back. Not gonna turn my camera on for a couple of minutes just because I got. You know what? I'm gonna own it. Gina, you ever hear of a brand called Nampons?
Nampons? No, but it sounds pretty similar to
It's
a
exactly what you think it
pool.
is. So
Okay.
as a man who has nosebleeds pretty frequently, not sure why they just happen with I think temperature or weather change. I don't know. But my nose tends to bleed a good amount. Stick one of these in for a couple of minutes, all of a sudden, nose doesn't bleed anymore. So there. Wait, did that just go upside down? What is happening? You know what? The text is gone. But yeah,
Well, what has
I
been
have.
happening these past 2 episodes?
That's what I'm saying. It's not Conti and Nick if something doesn't go uh, completely wrong at a very inappropriate time. But yeah, I have a nampon in my nose right now, and it looks a little goofy. So I'm gonna keep this off for a sec. But I was tuning into a little bit of the end of that with Campbell and learning first base, and I'm with you. I think that once a lot of these guys develop into their true position, I think you can get Meyer to go to short more, and maybe Story at second, and then obviously you have Anthony who can play in the outfield. The future is bright for the Sox. It's just all about consistency in pitching.
Yeah, I personally don't understand why they didn't have Marcelo go to shortstop at the very beginning of it.
Yeah.
Because if Trevor Story's such the veteran, then he should be able to just bump over a little bit to his left on the infield. And why put so much on the rookie's plate? Because he played at second base and third base, so he's already playing so many positions and so versatile. Luckily, unlike Christian Campbell, he's been able to handle it, but still, it's like you don't want to be putting so much on the young kid's plate where, he has to be able to cover all these bases. And then great, it's awesome to have versatility, but I would just rather have the kids as comfortable as possible. And that's just something, in my opinion, that Alex Cora has failed to do with the young kids. But hey, look, as of right now, after today's win, we're second in our division. So,
I'll take
I'll
it.
keep my mouth shut about
You
it.
know what I mean?
You know,
I'll take it. It's it's not easy to win, especially you're kind of in the dog days of the MLB where you're chasing to get into the playoffs, to get more into the fall, so you're playing in that playoff time. But so far, so good for the Sox. They move up into second in the AL East, so it's even more likely they are a playoff team now with the Yankees losing. Yeah, I mean, I could yap about the Sox all day, and mainly about how upset I am with management. But truthfully, we'll take things as they go. We're gonna jump to some NFL news for a little bit. Terry McLaurin has requested a trade out of the Washington Commanders camp. And also, Micah Parsons put on social media recently that he has also requested a trade to get out of Dallas. And Gino, you kind of threw a couple of potential trades out there on the Conti and Nick account. We're gonna bring those up and review them real quick. For the Terry McLaurin one, let's start with that. You have Terry going to the Patriots, and a third round pick going the other way. They send Kendrick Bourne, Kyle Duggar, and a 2026 fourth. Gino, I want to hear. I'll give you my reaction to this trade. I actually think it's a very good deal for both sides, but kind of give me your. Let me pick your brain a little bit about how you crafted up this trade and why you think it would work.
Yeah, so I'll be honest with you, like I don't have like this, all right, so this and this and this. Like I'm not like this, oh, this is so deep thinking, but like the way I thought of it, right? If you're gonna get Terry McLaurin, they're gonna want something in return, right? And obviously Kendrick Bourne and Terry McLaurin are on much different pay levels, but you do kind of soften the blow with the salary cap of trading away Kendrick Bourne and getting Terry McLaurin. And then obviously you give up Kyle Duggar, somebody who I think is a good player and does have his uses in the right defense. But obviously Mike Vrabel is going to be somebody who emphasizes a little bit more speed and athleticism on the defensive end, as opposed to Bill Belichick, who did kind of like those bigger bodied guys. Obviously, Washington does need help in their secondary. They've addressed a lot of draft capital in there. And, Bobby Wagner is not getting any younger. I don't think I believe it or not. My apologies. I'm not sure if he even re-signed with them. I do not remember.
I have
But
no idea.
obviously at the linebacker spot, they need some help there. So maybe Kyle Duggar kind of becomes that full-time linebacker, always in the box. That is what his strength is, and he is always with the tight, always tackling on the tight ends and covering them. Because all I'm hearing, and I listen to a lot of Greg Bedard. He's a Patriots journalist and insider, somebody who provides a lot of insight of what goes on during camp. He is somebody who, and he's always talking about how Kyle Duggar is getting burnt on a lot of deep routes when he's back there. And honestly, I don't think he's a bad player, but I think that for his position, he's a little bit overpaid. So I think getting Kyle Duggar and Kendrick Bourne both off of your books, along with giving away a fourth round pick, because we are giving them two good players in exchange for a really good player. But if we're also going to be giving up a fourth round pick for those two players in return, I would want a third round pick as well back.
Yeah, I mean, I took a quick peek real quick. Bobby Wagner's on a 1 year deal for 2025. Probably it for him. Probably his last little run. I want to pitch this to you. Potentially, if they say, maybe we don't want Kendrick Bourne or we don't want Kyle Duggar, and they want someone like Keon White. Is that something, if you're the Patriots, you'd be willing to give, or maybe a little more linebacker depth? I don't know if they're going to the Patriots necessarily for that, but would you be willing to give off, let's say, Duggar and Keon White?
Uh, Not Keon White. No, not Keon White. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that Keon White is somebody who has a tremendous amount of potential. Somebody who I think has the ability to be a three down player for the New England Patriots. I think he is athletic and I think he is big and disruptive. I don't think somebody with that size and the athleticism that he has, that's a rare blend. You know what I mean? Because usually, if you have a bigger body, you're going to be there on first and second down, and you're going to be pure. I'm not going to say purely, but you're going to heavily be there to stop the run. For somebody who has three down versatility, somebody who can line up on anywhere on the field, inside, outside, and provide a lot of value there, I would not give up on Keon White just yet. No, that's not something I'd be interested in.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily give up on him either, but I don't know. I think it's interesting to make a deal for Terry McLaurin. Let's say it's just Keon and a fourth, and they figure out the money somehow there. I think I would be interested. I don't know if I pull the trigger on that, because obviously Terry is he's not old, but he's getting up there in age. He probably has a couple of good years left in him, especially if he stays with the Commanders. I think he thrives very well in that offense. But not not paying him. Dom agrees with you too. I would not give up Keon. Obviously, as Patriots fans, we want Terry to end up as a Patriot because it would help us massively. But are there any other teams that you could see him fitting into?
Uh, I would say to be honest with you, I would say that the Tennessee Titans might be a good spot for them because they have the money to spend and they just drafted Cam Ward number one overall. They did just draft a lot of weapons, so they potentially want to build kind of a young core and maybe not spend as much. But if a guy like Terry McLaurin comes up, I don't see how you don't go after him, especially after the season he just had. He's somebody who can work with any range of quarterbacks. I mean, he's worked with bums, and obviously he's worked with guys like Jaden Daniels. He knows how to work and knows how to make things work and still be a good player who stays relevant no matter what the QB play is. I think the Tennessee Titans would honestly be a really good fit for Terry McLaurin. I'm not sure that they would do it, but I could see Tennessee paying the price that's necessary for him.
Yeah, I can see that too. I think the Titans would be a decent destination for him. I feel like a team potentially the Chargers, who still have some money that they could push around, could use a wide receiver like Terry. They kind of got the big guys right now at their receiving core, and obviously Quentin Johnson has had trouble with drops. So someone like Terry, I think could fit in there. Truthfully, I think any team around the league would be stoked to have a guy like Terry McLaurin. But the thing is, he is a big buck receiver now. And I am just so in awe that Washington is not willing. He has been there through thick and thin. And now you have your quarterback not fully bought in with Terry. I'm not a fan of the, once again, the cheapness of another organization.
Yeah, and I do kind of want to get like your take on this because I'm about to ask a question. Um, Adam Peters is the general manager of the Washington Commanders. Hey, hello, welcome
We're
back.
good. We're good. I had to make sure that I wasn't covered in blood. So we're good.
Welcome back. But but yeah, so Adam Peters is the general manager of the Washington Commanders. He came from the San Francisco tree under John Lynch. And that management tree, obviously, San Francisco has had no shortage of wide receiver holdouts and contract negotiations. Um, do you think the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, giving like the team that he comes from, the atmosphere and environment that he comes from? Like I'd say that that has to be it. Like that's what I would equate it to. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I truthfully, the more I look at the situation, I don't know if Terry actually ends up getting traded. This kind of feels like a stalemate. Maybe I don't even know if that's the right word, but both sides are saying, oh, Terry's like, I don't want to be here, and they're like, all right, we'll look to trade you. But in the end, it feels like these guys potentially are going to strike a deal. So I don't know. It feels weird to see Terry going to any other team. I think they'll work something out, maybe meet somewhere in the middle with giving Terry more guaranteed money, potentially over a shorter amount of time. So, I don't know. I feel in my heart, I feel like, excuse me, they'll probably get it done.
Yeah, and kind of to piggyback off of what you said, Washington should be ashamed of themselves, to be quite frank, because this is like you said, somebody who has been there through thick and thin. In the past, he's had every excuse to not want to be there, and yet he stayed. And finally, the fruits of his labor were rewarded when he went and played with Jaden Daniels last year. They made it to the NFC Championship game, finally got to showcase his talents. And now, what are you going to do? You're not going to pay the man. Not only is that stupid in terms of Terry McLaurin, but that's stupid for Jaden Daniels as well, because it's like Jaden Daniels, look, we all believe him to be great, but as we've discussed in previous episodes, we're not so sure that Jaden Daniels is going to be able to replicate exactly what he did last season. There might, emphasis on might, be some struggles that come with a second year in the sophomore slump with Jaden Daniels. And what does Washington do? They're not going to pay not only their most loyal teammate throughout his entire career, but also not give his quarterback, his number one receiver throughout training camp, and not get this new season, a critical season for them, off on the right foot. It doesn't make sense. It actually makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Washington, even if they get a deal done, should be ashamed that they let it get this far.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the number one receiver, and you have potential for Jaden Daniels to break out and maybe skip that sophomore slump as a whole. I mean, it's possible for him to do that. By the way, everyone putting him in the top 5 quarterback conversations, let's relax. All right, he's not there yet. I think he 100% could be there eventually, but again, you got this guy, Terry McLaurin. He's been there the entire time. He obviously loves being in the organization. Number one receiver. You bring in Deebo Samuel. They have a good defense. Their running game is good with Brian Thomas Jr. Or Brian Robinson Jr. Excuse
Sam
me.
Robinson
There we go.
and Austin Eckler.
And Austin Eckler, like you have a good thing going. They truthfully, the Commanders, if they have all the pieces work out for them, could legitimately contend this year if Jaden Daniels works out and ends up being that top 5 quarterback earlier than probably a lot of us expect. They 100% could be contending. Like they could go toe to toe with the Eagles potentially. So you have a shot here, and you're holding out over some money for a guy that wants to be there and is your best receiver and had a phenomenal year last year with your quarterback who's the franchise. It's insane how these decisions get made in management to me. This should be a no-brainer. You pay Terry McLaurin.
Right. And to your point, Will, the Eagles, they just lost their offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, who just became the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. And the last time the Eagles lost their offensive coordinator, we saw them nosedive. That team really took a turn for the worst the last time their offensive coordinator went to become a head coach elsewhere. We've seen what has happened to that team once they lose kind of that voice and that play caller that Jalen Hurts is capable of. Who's to say that's not going to happen again with the Eagles this year? And again, it might not happen, but it could happen, and we've seen evidence of it happening. And then Washington's just not gonna go ahead and pay their guy.
It's insane. I mean, when you look at the NFC as a whole, I don't think it's a secret that the NFC is weak in general, but this year especially, where you look at a guy like, the Bears, maybe they get better, but the Detroit Lions, they just lost their offensive coordinator. Jared Goff's not getting any younger. Like, there's potential. I think the Lions are still going to be a good team, but there's weaknesses throughout the NFC right now. Take a look at, the Minnesota Vikings. You have JJ McCarthy now, who you're hoping is going to pan out, but that's a rookie quarterback out there who has to play with Jefferson and Addison, and they have expectations. The Packers are still, they're a good team, but they're not like blowing you out of the water where you're like, oh, we got the Packers on our schedule. You know what I mean? Like, there is potential that Washington can win like 11 to 12 games and be in the upper echelon of the NFC. And you're denying that possibility in August because you don't want to pay a guy who has been with you from Taylor Heineke to Jaden Daniels. Like, he has seen it all. And, I know the guy's played for Heineke, but still, I think it's absolutely insane that they have not paid Terry yet. This deal has to get done, and it's got to get done soon because you got to keep building up those chemistry with those guys.
Listen, don't put words in my mouth. All right, you had no idea what I was going to say. But the team played for him.
They did. They did play for Taylor.
No, that's I'm with you. In the terms of Terry McLaurin, I don't really know what else to say. I don't even know honestly if Washington it would take the deal that I proposed. You know what I mean? Because obviously Kendrick Bourne is less. He's good, but he's less than Terry McLaurin. Kyle Duggar does have his question marks. I don't know if Dan Quinn would kind of want that on his team. So who knows? Maybe that is asking a little too much for Washington to accept a trade like that. Who knows? Maybe that's not enough. Maybe they would expect a first round pick, like a second round pick in return. But that I appreciate you bringing that up and kind of talking about it. So that's just what was going through my brain.
Yeah, no, I feel you. The other trade we want to talk a little bit about today is Micah Parsons as well. To kind of wrap up the Terry McLaurin thing. I'm gonna make a post later talk about Terry McLaurin on the Conti Nich account and maybe gauge your audience here and see what you think he might be worth for a couple of different teams. But we'll get to that later in the night tonight. So make sure you follow us at Conti and Nick. Micah Parsons, another guy who openly on social media said he wants out, he wants a trade. To me, Gino, this one feels a little bit different where I think Micah could probably be on the move more than Terry. But again, Jerry Jones is already talking about everything is he doesn't want to admit it at all. It's everything's fine. This is just how negotiations go, which I think is partially true. But with all the Cowboys players that have spoken up and said, yeah, Micah needs his money, it feels a little like he might be out of there. I don't know. Uh, Another guy potentially the Patriots could uh, send away. Is that something, if you're a Patriots fan, are you interested in? Because I think Micah probably has way of a higher price than Terry.
Oh yeah, and absolutely, I would be interested. That's
Yeah.
if you're asking me, would I be interested in Micah Parsons? Absolutely. You know what I mean? Like if you said, okay, you're gonna be like the Patriots are gonna be drafting number 10 overall this year, and it required a first round pick in the number 10 overall pick to get this trade done. Yes, because you're only hoping that whoever you get at number 10 is as good or a half, even half as good as what Micah Parsons is. So absolutely, I would give up the farm for him. And if you're asking me about Keon White, it would be a first round pick. Keon White, yes, yes. If you're asking me for about Micah Parsons, absolutely yes. But I'm gonna say this: Jerry Jones has a history of kind of the theatrics of it all. Like he is, if we're being honest with us, he's stupid because the longer you wait to pay these people, the more you're gonna have to end up paying, and then the more you're just gonna be crunched on the roster with your salary cap. But for whatever reason, Jerry Jones just has some sort of like lure for like the spotlight. He always wants the Dallas Cowboys to be in the news. He always wants them to be relevant, even if they're not even going to make it to the NFC Championship game, which they haven't done in about 30 years at this point.
Yeah.
So it's like Jerry Jones just loves the theatrics. He's a sucker for it. And at the end of the day, I think the deal is going to get done. This happened with Dak Prescott. This happened with CeeDee Lamb. This has happened with so many superstars with the Dallas Cowboys in the past. I'm going to be honest with you, like this one, I believe is going to get done. If not, kind of like what happened with CeeDee Lamb, like on day one of the season. I just there's no doubt in my mind it's going to happen, but Jerry Jones did stick it kind of to Micah Parsons a little bit when he extended Jake Ferguson before he
Yeah.
extended Micah
A
Parsons.
little
Like
bit.
that man's petty, man. Like that man is petty. It's gonna get done in my opinion. If he actually gets traded, I will be shocked.
See,
But
I'm usually with you. I think that this feels like a layup again. Micah Parsons, one of the best young defenders in the league, defensive player of the year candidate, entering his prime, and he wants money, so obviously he should get paid by an organization that has the money to go and pay him, and they're not doing it. The only reason this feels different to me is kind of the shared outrage from the Dallas Cowboys players with CeeDee Lamb saying like, "This is ridiculous. He isn't getting paid," and a bunch of other players just being like, "Yeah, Micah deserves some money." So that's the only thing that's making me think potentially it could be a little different, and Micah could be on the move. I was trying to find a couple of trade rumors here while we are going off on our little Micah tangent. It seems like the price the Patriots would probably have to pay is Dietrich Wise, Keon White, and some high draft picks, probably a first and like a third, maybe, for Micah Parsons. And maybe you throw in some fifths and sixths to sweeten it up a little bit. Uh if I'm the Patriots, call me crazy. I'm still making that deal. I don't think, other than giving up like Drake May and a first round pick, that together, or just Drake May in general, there's really not a package that I would turn down if I'm the Patriots to go and get a guy like Micah Parsons.
oh yeah, yeah. Like I said, well, so if it was a first round pick and Keon White and like Kendrick Bourne, yes, like it's. I'm sorry, the answer is yes. Like it's a no brainer. It's a no brainer. That first round pick, like I said, you're only hoping is half as good as Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons' his rookie year was in the defensive player of the year conversation, and since then he's only gotten better. The defensive coordinators have changed almost every single year there in Dallas, so they haven't had a lot of stability. They've had Mike Zimmer, they've had Dan Quinn, they've had Mike Nolan. So during his time, they've had a decent amount of people, and yet no matter where they put him, he's been excellent and he's thrived. So it's like he is a special player. He, at the end of his career, will be enshrined into the Hall of Fame. Yes. If you're
Yep.
maybe I'm downplaying it. That's kind of why I'm not as like, oh, fired up about this and oh, rah, rah, Jerry Jones is an idiot because we all know he's an idiot. At the end of the day, though, I think Jerry's track record kind of does suggest that this deal will be done.
It feels like it will too, because again, the
Mm.
asking price for a guy like Micah is also so high that it's a little bit ridiculous. Shout out to Sports Illustrated, by the way. That's where I got that first trade. I want to go through a little bit of these Bleacher Report trades real quick and see what you think about them. So obviously, the number one destination feels like the Patriots, just because we have the most cap in the NFL and we have pieces. This one, Bleach Report trades can go a little disproportionate sometimes, but this is saying potential trade: the Cowboys get a 2026 first, 2026 second, a 2027 first, and a 2027 third to go and get Micah Parsons. And you know what's crazy, Gino? I think I do it. Like, that is the crazy part to me, is I think I might do that.
Put it to you this way: if 2 first-round picks was accepted for Jamal Adams of like back in the day, a few years back, then you best believe it's going to be at least 2 first-round picks for Micah Parsons.
Yeah. I mean, think about how the
Yeah.
Patriots' first round picks have kind of worked out too. Like, would you give up Kyle Duggar and, like, I don't know, N'Keal Harry to go and get Micah? Like, yeah, obviously. And I know those guys are a couple of years apart, but still, that is the crazy price that we're asking for Micah Parsons, and I'm with it. Second team here is the Detroit Lions. They get Micah Parsons at a 2026 fifth. And the Cowboys get back a 2026 first, 2026 second, a 2027 first, a 2026 third, and they also get Marcus Davenport, excuse me. So it seems pretty consistent. It's 2 first-round picks and some combination of a second and a third for Micah Parsons.
Yeah, I was gonna say that deal looks pretty identical, just plus Marcus Davenport being
Yeah.
included.
Well, it's because the Lions
Yeah.
are
So
a better team. Those draft picks maybe less value.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, to be honest with you, it's like maybe Detroit. I will say this: there is something to be said about there being an alpha on the defensive line. It's this weird thing that can't be explained, but when you have 2 alphas at the same position, it almost kind of makes it 2 positives equals into a negative. You know what I'm saying? Like we saw that way back when Terrell Owens and Chad Ochocinco were both on the Bengals at wide receiver. You would think, okay, we're going to the Super Bowl. It didn't work out. You know what I mean? And it also happened with Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those are 2 alphas, two like defensive player of the year caliber players, and it just didn't work out. You know what I mean? Like if I was Detroit, to be honest with you, I would not be interested. Aiden Hutchinson is your alpha. Aiden Hutchinson is your leader on the defensive line. I wouldn't want to mess with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds a little weird too for the Detroit Lions. Why? Obviously, you like a guy like Micah, but you're not gonna be able to keep those guys there forever. You know what I mean? Hutchinson's gonna want to get paid, and you're gonna be paying Parsons, and then it's like, well, the whole rest of our roster, as we're gonna be a good team, is probably going to want to get paid. So it seemed a little weird. The Lions are in there. I'm not gonna read the trade for every single one of these because it literally every single one is 2 first-round picks, or 2 first-round picks and a third, or a first-round pick, a second, and 2/3. So it's pretty much the same. But the other teams in here are the Bengals, the Packers, and the Chargers. I don't know about you, Gino, but none of those really stick out to me a whole lot. I mean, if you're the Bengals, you don't want to pay, Hendrickson. I don't know why you would pay Mike. Obviously, Mike is better, but you already got a guy there. The Packers, I think, is maybe the best out of those last three. And then the Chargers, I don't really see that happening either. So to me, it's New England, maybe the Packers, or he resigns.
I was gonna say, yeah, if he's not gonna go to Dallas, obviously New England makes the most sense just on paper because of, like you said, all the assets and the cap money that they have. I highly doubt it's gonna happen. And then, but like I said, if you're asking me what the most confident team I am, sorry, the team I am the most confident in that he will get traded to, I believe it will be the Green Bay Packers because he would be that alpha. The Green Bay Packers do have a good history of signing other free agents from other teams and or trading and making them good and having them to be perform well for them as well. I think that would be a huge addition for Green Bay,
Yep.
and that team's really good. Like
Oh,
Green
oh
Bay
yeah.
is a good team. they have a good defense. They have a linebacker. His name is Edgarin Cooper, and they're really high on him to break out into his second year. So that would really be a good pairing of having that edge guy and that linebacker. Xavier McKinney is one of the best safeties in the league, or performed like it last year. So on all three levels, you'd have really good guys, playmakers, difference makers, and then you just added Matthew Golden to an offense that has names at the wide receiver position, but not really a breakout guy. So we'll see how that offense performs. But I think if Micah Parsons were to move, I think the Packers would be the good one, and that would be a difference maker for them.
No, 100%. And again, the Packers are kind of in that window right now where they have the money to be able to spend. Jordan Love has his extension kicking in, I believe, pretty soon. I don't know if it's this year or next year, but I believe he did sign and it is kicking in pretty soon. But also, I mean, you have a lot of guys where you have a lot of talent, but they're still on their younger rookie contracts. So you have the ability to go and get someone like Micah and sign him to that big time deal, and you can be competitive, and maybe you open up that Super Bowl window for the Packers. Am I talking myself into the Packers more? I might be. Gino, you might be talking me into the Packers a little bit.
Hey man, Sports Illustrated did, not me.
It's true. It's true.
Sports Illustrated did, but no, I'm with you. It to me, it's Packers or nothing.
Yeah, it feels like it. I really would love New England to get a deal, but you know, I've been doing this since like 2018 now, 2019 with the Patriots, where a guy becomes available and we're like, oh, it's the one SpongeBob meme where this guy is like, Patriot, like that's what it feels like every single time one of these guys become available. Reality
It's
is
gonna be very, very tough to make a deal.
gonna
We're
be
gonna have a lot of negotiations. It's gonna be a tough deal to make.
great negotiations, phenomenal, the best negotiation. No, but it feels
Part
like
of
the
deal.
Patriots are
It's gonna
so
be a
far
tough one,
away.
but we're gonna get it done.
Well, make it happen. We're still so far away from the Patriots to actually being one of those teams, and I think this year is going to tell a lot with Vrabel back at the helm for the Patriots. But you know, we can sit here and hope. Gino, I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Conti and Nick. Man, we went heavy in on organizations today and you know who they're cheap with, but I think one guy that every organization would pay no matter what circumstance. Gino, who do you think they're taking?
Ooh, I'm gonna say this uncomfortably aggressive. Jundra!
Jumbo, everyone. We'll see you next time. Peace out. Don't be too what was it? Uncomfortably aggressive in life. We'll see you next time. Peace.